Hi, welcome to Jet's Challenge Diary Cam. I wasn't expecting to do a diary thing, post, but I think I need to. As you can probably tell, I sound not very much awake and I'm struggling to find the right words for things. That's part of the ME, which today isn't that great. I overdid it yesterday, which means I did too much, more than my energy, and pushed through the wall of tiredness and fatigue and pain to do something for me, which was get a new tattoo, which is brilliant, but now I'm suffering the payback, and I think it's best in this situation to be open and honest with everybody. So today I was planning on reciting 3 poems from memory. If by Rudyard Kipling, The Way of the World by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, and Don't Quit by John Greenleaf somebody. I've forgotten the name, which doesn't exactly help. I am still going to do those 3 poems, but it's not going to be today. I'm going to try Don't Quit later, and I will learn who the author is, although most sources I found on the internet seems to have it attributed to unknown. But in the meantime, I'm going to read out my story that AIM, the Association of Young People with ME, who I'm doing all of this for, has put up on their website, and I'm just going to read through it, really. This was my leaving message in a way. So, about me. My name is Jet. I'm 27 now, I've just had a birthday. I live in Lancaster, and I'm a member of AIM Grads and a volunteer for AIM Grads, and up until February, I was a volunteer for AIM for the past 13 years as a member. That would be an alarm, which I have to set various times a day to remind me to take my medication. Didn't mean to do this on camera, but as we're here, and I have to take them now, I could either pause this video or use it as an excuse to show you what my routine is really like. So here, if you can see, this is going to have to be angled down a bit. If we can move it so you can see. Yes, that didn't really work. But here we go. This one is gabapentin, which is a neurological painkiller which lessens the effect of the pain in my muscles and joints, which I have because of the ME. These next 2 are probably really familiar to everybody. They're standard paracetamol, but they are actually most efficient for pain relief, regardless of type overall, but my pain in particular. These 2 are antidepressant and antipsychotic. The brand of depression I suffer from is depression with psychotic features, which means that sometimes when I'm very, very stressed, I will have psychotic features occur, such as hallucinations, auditory and visual, and lose touch with reality. And the depression started as a result of my ME and having to live with a disability, and I treat it separately, and it is also very much intertwined with my physical health. So if my physical health is worse, I feel bad mentally, and my mental health gets worse, and if my mental health gets worse, I'll try and do more actively, like distraction techniques such as, doing something I enjoy, an activity, which will make my ME worse, and it's an ongoing cycle. So my life is pretty much trying to find the balance between good mental health and good physical health, and never really having either. So excuse me a minute and I will take these. It's not recommended to take them all at once, by the way. That's just because I take about between 14 and 20 tablets a day, and if I took them one by one, it would... on a bad day I have to be fair, because I can't swallow that many things at once because of my muscles in my throat. But on a good day I can just take a handful because it's the easiest way to get them all in and I don't have to think too much about it. So back to the case study, if it will open, because I am reading from a page. These blue glasses, by the way, help because I have dyslexia, not very much to do with the ME, but processing problems are part of the ME as well, which is again why I'm struggling with everything. So my diagnosis, I'm just going to read this out as it is written in front of me. So first, I got a virus which doctors thought was glandular fever, but I wasn't tested as my mother was a nurse and so she thought she knew how to deal with it. However, I got gradually worse and very soon it became apparent that I was suffering from more than a virus. Back then, remember this is about 1998-99, ME was still fairly unknown and the doctors weren't sure what it was. 18 months after I first fell ill, my paediatric doctor finally diagnosed me, leaving me with the words, "You have CFS/ME. We don't know what helps, but if you try to live your normal life and come back and let us know if anything works." So, I mean, that in itself just explains how unheard we are as an illness community back then. They didn't know what would cure us, they didn't know how to treat it. They weren't 100% sure what it was, and that's terrifying, both for the doctor having to diagnose that, and for the child, which I was at the time, I was about 10 or 11, having to go home and not really understanding their diagnosis, and not really knowing what would work and what would not work. So, I continued full-time education for a further 2 years before I became bedbound. Just the ME. My most frequent asked question with "why are you bedbound?" is why are you bedbound? And I have to say, it's just the ME. ME can make you bedbound. If you get weak enough and you have a severe enough strain of it, ME can kill you. This is what is the general public don't really understand. They don't see behind closed doors. They don't see you at housebound, at bedbound levels. They just see you up and about, and because it's an invisible illness, there's nothing on the surface wrong with you. They say, oh, they're fine, they're just a bit tired. And it's a very misunderstood illness. So my ability level back then was probably around 5%. Completely healthy is 100%, and dead is 0%. Some people say they're 1% if they can't do anything for themselves and their system is basically going towards dying. I was 5%. I couldn't turn myself over in bed. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't drink or eat. I wasn't good. I've gradually improved, and this says 45%, but I've improved a bit more than that, and I'd say about 50% now. And in terms of the small percentage ratios that we're dealing with, you know, there's about 100 points, as it were, to go between. 5% is actually a big increase, although I am still quite moderately affected, and it varies from day to day. So sometimes I'll be more severely affected, and other days I'll be able to do more. It's a fluctuating illness. So why am I sporting AIM, you might ask? I joined AIM in 2003 and I immediately signed up for the Pen Pal scheme, which is where I met a few of the good friends I have today. Shout out! I met more friends on the forums and was even lucky enough to go to 2 conferences in Milton Keynes, where the AIM head office is, where I shared a room with one of my first AIM pen pals. I've been an avid fundraiser for AIM for over the years, starting by hand-making some simple bookmarks and cakes and selling them at car boot sales and stalls, moving on to a sponsored swim and a few sponsored this and that, including last year shaving my hair off for AIM, which raised over £500, and thank you all of you who donated to that as well, and thank you again to all of those who mocked me afterwards. In good humour, of course. This year, I am doing my sponsored craftathon. So between the 1st and the 29th of May, I'll be making as many items as I can pyrograph. And on the last weekend in May, the 30th and 31st, I'll be selling them. That's still going ahead. Today, I was going to focus on poetry recital, sort of overcome the cognitive side of ME. Unfortunately, it has got me down and it's too much pressure and I just can't do it, and my mind isn't there to recall that information, which is one of the symptoms of ME, inability to recall information committed to memory. We can commit it to memory, it's the actual recall, getting it back, saying what we remember. We can't remember it, as it were, so in essence it feels like it never happened to us because we don't have the ability to get hold of those memories and to then express those memories. So anyway, back to this. During my time at AIM, I have watched people grow up with the same illness as me and have seen how it affects everyone slightly differently, and sometimes the same. I've been there to see former member Chris run with the Olympic torch, which will always stick in my mind. I've been invited to 5 AIMers' weddings and, unfortunately, 2 AIMers' funerals. I've rung the office helpline on good days and bad, and indeed today, to ask advice about doing this and my poetry recital, to either share my good news or get some advice, like today. I've seen members get better and get worse, but always there has been AIM on hand. I've recently joined the AIM grads, and I will be writing for their magazine Stepping Stones, as well as helping to put together a new AIM book called Forget Me Not. That's Forget Me Not, and that's available on Amazon and Lulu.com now. Links will be in the bit I can put links in, I don't know. So my advice to anybody who's got ME, who is suffering right now with this illness, just pace yourself, which basically means, I can't remember how to explain pacing, but if you go to AIM, they have some great links, they have some great information leaflets. The AIM website, I'll put a link down there as well. So pace yourself and your activities and listen to your body. Stop when you feel tired, don't push to finish the job you're on, and just be kind to yourself, because otherwise you're going to have a catch-up day or a payback day or a bad symptom day or whatever you want to call it, and it might not just be one day, it might be 2 days or 3 days, and if they go on and they build up, you relapse. You can relapse with ME. You can get worse and stay worse. You can get better and stay better, but it's all pacing and how you interact with the world and your energy and things that tire you out. So the best advice I was ever given is do 50% of what you feel you can do if you're a severely affected member, and if you're moderately affected, only do 75% of what you feel able to do. The key is to stop before you get tired or feel pain, and rest. Make sure you rest. Rest lots. Try to rest the mind as well as the body, and vice versa. And perhaps most importantly, do something small every day that makes you smile. You know, keep hold of that hope and try and take care of yourself, even if it means that sometimes you're going to have to ask for help, because people are willing to help, and it's no weakness to ask for help and to change plans. You have to do the best that is going to benefit you in the long term, because otherwise you're going to be no good to anybody, including yourself. So have hope and sponsor AIM. You know, donate on my page. I'll put a link down here, and just, they're a great charity. And watch this space for more updates about the poetry recital. Alright, cheers mates.